Thank you, Raito. So like Raito said, I currently run Startup Wise Guys. But first of all, I would like to thank Matti and Christina for previous presentations. And I hope that I still have something left to tell you about startup teams. First of all, I would like to say how did I end up in a startup? And it's actually pretty similar to what Matti suggested before. If you start a startup and you see that your time is consumed by, let's say, your clients, your users sending you emails, and you spend 12 hours per day answering these instead of actually leading the company or trying to get it to the next level, then you need help. And this is how I ended up in a startup. I had just moved to Tallinn, and I worked in a psychology clinic. I have a bachelor in psychology. And my brother, who started a social network with a couple of his friends, needed just a volunteer help with the users. And who else is a good person to ask than a little sister who will do it for free anyway? After a while, everything grew much bigger, and I was the first person hired in the company because the evenings grew to be too long. There's too much to do that I couldn't do during the weekends anymore. And then I was part of the Estonian startup community that was still in its early shoes. It's much different than it is today. And one of the things that has changed the Estonian startup community is definitely Garage 48. And this is what I would like to emphasize as well, that over 2 years ago, a couple of Estonian Startup Leaders Club members started the Garage 48 event because they saw that different skills, different people from different disciplines need to come together to actually try if they can build prototypes during a short time and what it will give for them. It's kind of a safe environment to do it within 48 hours. Quickly, for those who don't know what Garage 48 is, because I know we have people from other countries in here, it's a weekend hackathon where from Friday evening, about 100 participants from developers, designers, project managers, marketers come together, pitch their ideas, and the best ideas or the best presenters get their teams, and by Sunday evening, the prototypes are built and presented. Garage 48 has been in Estonia, but also in other countries. And why I brought it out is that because I have been organizing the public service event here in Estonia and 3 events in Africa last year, in Kenya, Uganda as well. And today I run Startup Wise Guys Accelerator. We just finished our first batch of 8 startups in the beginning of July. We chose them from 240 applications that we had, and we had teams from 6 different countries. And because of my background and my connections with all these different organizations, I have also been interested how the teams are actually built and what kind of teams function. So I also had my master thesis written about Garage 48, and one part of it was talking about more exactly about the teams. Most theme theories in overall talk about what happens with the team when it's already formed. And this is why I find the Garage 48 event really interesting, because the teams are formed within 30 minutes maximum. So what it actually takes people to choose the right person or the right idea. And about a year ago, one designer actually drew a map of different ideas during the presentations. And so which one would you choose from here? The environment or the rational language training session, or how to actually share your to-do lists? From this couple of ideas, for example, if you look really down, there is an e-school idea for mobiles that actually got the team and was built. And there's so many different characteristics that you're looking at the person within this 90 seconds. And I would like to bring out 4 things that actually become important when you choose the team members and when you choose somebody to join. First of all, it's chemistry. It's kind of this weird feeling that subjectively we can't really say what it is, but it's this click. There are 20 great ideas presented on the stage, but then there's 2 or 3 of them are the ones that we like. And even though the presenter might be a geek who doesn't do the presenting quite well even, you kind of know that there's something into this idea, into his passion that you want to join as well. And the other way around, this geek who doesn't present well on the stage, and later some possible team members come to him, he also feels this first kind of feeling, whether these possible team members would be good to join or continue with. The second is trust. We can't go over trust in any other way. If you don't feel from the first moment that this is a person that you can trust, then even if you continue with legal documents later, it won't help you. It's not about paperwork. It's not about juridical information. At the end of the day, you work with the people, not the documents or the papers. So the trust is the second important thing. And now it's actually the skill set. This is something that we can measure. So for example, at Garage48 event, when we have felt this chemistry, this click, we also kind of feel that we trust, then the next talk is about whether this person actually complements the team with an additional skill set. So if marketers are already in the team, then additional marketer is not probably needed, especially during so short time. On the other hand, for example, designers and developers, it's never enough of them. Fourth, positive energy. We all want to work in a team with positive energy. And okay, in Garage48, within 48 hours, it's okay. You can keep the positive energy going. But especially when you work in a startup, like we had at Startup Wise Guys, we had teams from different countries living, working, and partying together, 24/7, doing everything. You know if people brush their teeth or not. You know which kind of jokes they like. You get tired of the music that they're playing. You can't forget your work problems because you see the same people at home. So startup is like marriage. You have to be able to spend much time with those people together. And though you have really hard problems, you have difficulties, you go over them and then you continue. So, what happens if you now have chosen those people and you have a team? Does that actually guarantee that your team will survive and succeed? At Garage48, with my master thesis, I made a research of 13 different events, which means that over 1,500 people and 144 ideas were measured. And what I found out is that those teams that have most developers and designers in the beginning are the ones who most probably will continue after the event as well. And this also is confirmed by many investors who have now started to believe in the teams, especially in really early stage, where they have the real people who do the real job. So if Christina was saying before that they also had difficulties in the beginning because they didn't have technical people, this is exactly the challenge that the startups have who want to build technical stuff but don't have tech people in their teams in the beginning. I also measured trust. The teams who said that during Garage48 event their trust was pretty high, they most probably also continued afterwards. And It's also important that you have individual relationship like with your team members. Going back to the same thing that we had before, that you're working together, you're spending long hours together. And if you want to continue to have a Christmas dinner with your team, then you actually work really hard to achieve it. Also, you have to be able to not to take things too personally. If there are difficult problems and difficult decisions to make, then often it happens, one team member might say something nasty to another. You need to forget that and continue. What else is important that you wouldn't so much only take team members that are similar to you, but different. Because then you have much more a bigger possibility to actually see the problems. So if we're talking about positive energy, for example, or positive attitude, it doesn't mean that if you have 5 team members and one of them is a visionary person, then everybody else will say, yeah, let's do it. That's a great idea. Let's always do it. You do need to have this balance for people who are saying, hey guys, let's also think how to do it, how to actually make it happen. The negative thing would be, oh, come on, like, we can't do it. And this negativism, we can't do it, would ruin your energy, would drain you out of the possibilities that you can do. Also, it's important that you have responsibilities and roles. And though we all know that in the beginning of the startup, everybody are doing everything. You have to be flexible, so sometimes the back-end developer needs to do some front-end, and that's fine. Sometimes the CEO needs to also go down and speak with users, which is actually a good thing. But at the end of the day, if you have, for example, a 5-founder team, and you're already on a stage speaking with possible investors, and one of you is behind the table, and he can't make decisions because all the decisions you need to make together with all of your co-founders. You need to trust each other to share the responsibilities. And it doesn't mean that the CEO is the most important face. Everybody else are. I think the example that Christina made before about the football team is great. Everybody cheer when the goal is made, and the name shown is actually the goal maker. But the whole team played for it. So each person should also accept that whatever they do in the team, their effort is needed, and that they are as important as the CEO of the team. With Estonians, I've always, or pretty often, encountered the thing that we don't ask. And we don't approach the possible mentors or advisors that could actually help us. I don't know why we don't do it. I just know that we need to do it much more. I have given this example before as well. My coworker, Mike Reiner, he's from Netherlands. He moved to Estonia, I think at the end of January. And it took him about 2 or 3 weeks to meet the successful IT entrepreneurs in Estonia. And when he went to Riga TechCrunch events, then he already was looking around and was like, yeah, half the people I know, with 3 weeks. And that way I would ask, like, how many people you Estonians would have known who were at TechCrunch Riga event, for example? It's just because we don't approach. But even all the entrepreneurs that we have in Estonia as well, they're not actually cruel. They answer your questions. They give you advice when you go and ask for it. But you also have to know what to ask. You have to use their possibilities. At Startup Wise Guys, during first weeks, we bring in about 60, 70 mentors, which means that every day our startups meet at least 8 mentors. One mentor only for 20 minutes. So what can you do with 20 minutes? It's so short time. Actually, you can do a lot. You can also feel if this mentor advisor is suitable for you to continue work with. If this mentor or advisor doesn't have knowledge or experience in your particular field, then you can use him as a user and still ask for advice. You can ask for his contacts. Most of our teams in Startup Wise Guys used all the contacts really wisely that we gave them. But we also had 1 or 2 teams who, for example, never did homework, researching who the mentors are coming in, or who just really quickly explained their idea and waiting that now this advisor and mentor will give them this golden advice that immediately helped them to succeed. That's not the case. No mentor or advisor can give you this amazing advice, but at the end of the day, with all this information, you and your team are the ones who are making the decisions, how to continue and what to do. But actually having access to so many mentors per day and per few weeks, you can be quite sure that you have received so many different opinions that whichever way you choose, you can be much more confident that that's the right way to go. I would also like to emphasize that a good team survives, but bad idea doesn't. It means that even with a good team, you can have really bad idea. And you have to know when to finish. I think that the 3-time trying is really good example. And you should try to know when to do and how to do it, and then trust each other. And when your visionary person loses his motivation once in a while, you should be the one to push and continue to go forward. Even if a team has this bad idea, I know several examples where an awesome team has worked together, and they at some point have decided that, guys, that idea doesn't work. And they split up. They go back to work for corporations. Some of them try some other startups. And then, after a while, they come together again. I think this is a really good possibility for the team members to go and learn other things again. Because even if a really good team stays together for too long time, they start to think in a box again. So going out there, trying out other things, will be only beneficial later. It doesn't, again, guarantee that you will achieve your new idea with the same team when you come together, but it will definitely give you new possibilities to do. And it will broaden your network. Because of the experience with Garage 48 and Startup Wise Guys, I've also seen teams with different cultural backgrounds. And the communication between the team members is definitely one of the skills that you can do. And one other thing inside the teams that often might cause problems is when team members have personal relationships between each other. This is something that might be really, really difficult, and it's usually not spoken about as well, because it's a personal thing on the other hand, but the other way around, it creates a situation where a couple of the team members can't lose their connection at the end of the day, go home and forget that they still go home towards one of the team members. And here, people need to understand that and how to go through with it. On the other hand, I've seen people who are really startup-minded and who can't allow themselves to become a startupper with this possibility that they don't get next paycheck. And it's also fine that they don't go immediately to become the first founder in the team. But it doesn't mean that when you already have the startup going for an investment or you have next steps, then this person is not actually a good team member anymore. There are decisions that we all have to make at some points. And because I was told that do it quickly because we're out of time, I would actually just say, be wise with choosing your team members, and I'm open for questions.
A big applause, please. As always, questions, and this time we actually have room for more than 2 questions, so anything from the audience? I have one. Regards building teams, some of the VCs say is that today they're seeing a lot of kind of hyperbole or hype teams, and although I know GrabCAD has proved otherwise with starting with business guys in a way, what do you think? Should teams have 90% tech guys and basically the CEO is only the business guy, or what's the kind of good formation of today's startup? What should be the balance between the tech guys and kind of the business guys?
I think that if you have the first founder like Hardi was, then you have a really good business guy starting a company. And I think GrabCAD is a really awesome example of a team that didn't start with tech people in the beginning. But the real thing that I was looking, standing aside and not being part of any of it, was that he was so determined to succeed. I remember when he came back from, probably first or second US visit, and was at Garage 48 Hub, sharing some advice and saying, guys, it's so easy to get to talk with people in US, because all the people in there are so kind that if you just push enough, at the end of the day, they will essentially talk with you. So you will be able to tell them what you need to tell them, so that they might actually get interest in you. And this is definitely something that we Estonians sometimes should be as well. Be a little bit more Americans. Though at the same time, I think Estonians are really hardworking people, so we shouldn't lose that as well. Still work hard, but sometimes look up and approach some strange people that we might not yet know.
Questions? Go ahead. Oh, sorry, wait for a second. Running microphone.
Okay. You said good team always needs more designers and engineers, but one marketing guy is enough. Why is that?
This is definitely like a conclusion from Garage 48 event, for example, where what happens when a team has more marketers is that the marketer is not doing anything, really. There's not so much to do. Though I know a couple of examples where they have had 2 or 3 marketers, which means that at the end of the weekend, they have not had only the prototype working, but they already have had users using the product. On the other hand, if you have more developers or designers, especially developers, you can build several things together. And if you have a really good manager organizing this stuff, then you can combine them much better way.
So marketing guys like God. Developers, what kind of leadership and you need to follow?
No, marketer guys definitely, well, marketer guys doing marketing. At Garage 48 event, we also have project managers who are in the team, so they are kind of the gods in there. While, for example, the social network where I started, I was a community manager, and I was in the lead of a lot of volunteer moderators. For them, I was the god who always knew everything and did everything.
More questions from the crowd? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have one question regarding all the teams of Garage 48 and the Startup Wise Guys accelerator program teams. Can you generalize what are the key skills that most of the teams who are in for the longer term always have? And what are the skills most of the teams lack?
First that comes to mind, passion. It's not a skill, but it's the passion, it's the motivation that keeps you going. The team that we had, for example, at Startup Wise Guys, the youngest team, they had all kinds of problems. everything, starting from the worst apartment owner ever that you can have. Basically, he harassed them during nights coming to get the cash and so on. They had problems with even getting a bank account. They had problems with starting the company. And so on, all kinds of things that didn't actually start from them. And two of the founders are in a relationship. They were living together as well. And they always continued. Their eyes were always shining. It doesn't mean that they never cried. The girl in the team, we also went and talked, and they had difficult times. But they never lost their passion and their belief that they have a great team and they will achieve what is needed.
Good answer. One of the things I'm always interested, when we started the Wise Guys team as well, finally we had 6 people there, 7, the main core team. I don't know what you think about that, but getting international guys on board was certainly a key to success, getting John on board. What's your opinion on that, getting kind of international guys on board as early as possible? A good thing or a bad thing?
I think that the world is so small that getting international people kind of broadens your possibilities. But it doesn't even matter so much. It's at the end of the day, it's about the people themselves, not where they come from. And well, with John Bradford is anyway the person to blame for Startup Wise Guys. So we didn't get him abroad, he got all of us abroad.
That's kind of true. Any more questions from the crowd? 1 or 2? Okay, then, yep, sorry, go ahead.
What about this trust? How to build up the trust in the very beginning?
How do you build up trust, is the question.
How to build up the trust in the very beginning before you know each other to build a team? You said that the trust is the first thing you need to know. Is it trust to God as a marketing guy, or is it trust that lasts only 48 hours?
It's definitely trust that needs to last for much longer. If I would have a special key how to build trust, that would be an awesome thing, and we could all do that. I think that's also attached with people and basically what they expect and what they do. So if you are open to trust others, they most probably are open to trust you as well. And definitely communication is the key for everything. And not trying to control each step that all your team members are doing, but instead of also letting people to think by themselves and to make their own decisions as well. And though trust from psychological background is something that you so much can't just create out of nothing. And it comes with the ethical and moral issues that every person has. So if you know that some possible team member has done, let's say, stolen an idea before from somebody else, then you will never continue to trust, and trying to build the trust wouldn't work as well.
Basically, have a psychologist on board is the short answer. But with that notion, our thankful finalist here, thank you, Elise, and please a big applause to him. Officially, that's yours.
Thank you.